teo ihany koa tamin'ny herinandro
For those of us who weren't here last week,
nanomboka fampianarana mitohy vaovao tsika atao am-piangonana.
we've started a new series today, last week.
Dia lohatenin'ilay fampianarana dia hoe mahafantatra na mahalala an'Andriamanitra.
So the title of the series is called Knowing God.
Dia tao anatin'izay Timothée no nitory teny tamin'ny herinandro.
So Timothy started preaching on this series last week.
Dia anisan'ny zavatra nozarain'i Timothée tao anatin'izay ho antsika izay mahatadidy dia hoe inona no mahazava-dehibe an'ilay hoe mahafantatra an'Andriamanitra.
So for those who remember, one of the main themes he touched on last week was why is it so important to know God?
Dia nozarainy tao anatin'izay hoe ilay mahafantatra an'Andriamanitra izay ny antom-pisitsika.
He said that our reason to be alive and to be on this earth is really to know God.
Dia tao anatin'izay ilay teny nozaraina dia hoe manaiky an'Andriamanitra sy Jesosy Kristy.
And what he shared was really to obey, to accept Jesus Christ and God.
Dia manana fifandraisana amin'Andriamanitra zany ohatr'izay diana voalohany anatin'ny fahafantarana an'Andriamanitra.
The first step in knowing God is really to
mino an'i Jesosy Kristy.
The first step in knowing God is really to know Jesus Christ.
Dia avy eo nefa ny tsy tapitra atreo ilay hoe mahalala an'Andriamanitra.
But knowing God doesn't end at that stage.
Fa mila mitombo hatramintsika fahafantarantsika anazy.
Because we all have to grow in our knowledge of God.
Dia izay dingana manarak'izay ao anatin'izay hoe inona moa zavatra atao. Dia hoe maka fotoana manokana amin'Andriamanitra, mivavaka.
So the further steps, one thing you have to do is to spend time with God, pray.
Dia tao anatin'izay ihany koa mamaky teny.
And also there is other steps is to read God's word.
Dia raha ohatra kany misy an'ity programme vaky tenintsika ity tsy ariariana.
So just to take advantage of this, there is the Bible reading plan at the back there.
Misy amin'ny teny gasy amin'ny teny anglais.
It's in Malagasy and in English.
Dia ity vaky tenintsika amin'ity volana febroary ity.
So in this kind of bookmark, you have all the verses that the Bible readings that we have for this month.
Dia tena mampirisika antsika ao anatin'izay satria tafiditra ao anatin'ity lohahevitra antsika ty androany ity mihitsy izay hoe mitombontsika rehefa mamaky ny teny.
So I'd like to encourage you because you'll see that our preaching today will be about the fact that we grow when we read God's word.
Dia mivoakasika tamin'ny herinandro farany koa ny mahazava-dehibe ny fiainam-piangonana.
And also last week we talked about the importance of church life, being part of a church.
Izany hoe raha fihezina zany hoe mahafantatra an'Andriamanitra dia misy lafiny ohatrany hoe mitsangana na ohatrany hoe mahitsy.
So we can sum up like this, that knowing God, there is a vertical aspect to it.
Fa misy ihany koa lafiny anankiray hoe tsy vanana.
But there's also a horizontal aspect to it.
Mahafantatra an'Andriamanitra manokana tsika.
We know God personally.
Dia nefany ao anaty fiarahantsika ihany koa tsika mitombo amin'ny fahafantarantsika amin'Andriamanitra.
But in our community, in our relations, we also grow in our knowledge of God.
Noho izany raha ohatra ka mahalala an'Andriamanitra zany ny antom-pisiko ny antom-pisinao.
So if our reason to be is to know God,
dia izay koa ny antom-pisin'ny tsirairay avy ny olona eo akaikinao io.
So that's also the reason why your neighbor, that's also the reason to be of your neighbor.
Izay koa ny antom-pisin'ny olona rehetrarehetra izay hitanao eny an-dalambe.
It's the reason to be for all the people that you see on the street or wherever you are in your daily life.
Tsy hoe ny anam-bola be, tsy hoe ny anam-bola be no antom-pisintsika.
Our reason to live is not to be rich,
na hoe anakarena namboninahitra be,
or to get glory,
na tena hoe ho tafita amin'ny zavatra rehetra eo amin'ny fiainantsika,
or to succeed in everything you do.
Fa ny antom-pisintsika dia ny hahalala an'Andriamanitra.
But our reason to live is to know God.
Noho izany ny fahafantarantsika an'Andriamanitra zany ohatra ka hoe izay no antom-pisintsika.
So if our reason to live is to know God,
dia tokony zaraintsika ihany koa izay amin'ny hafa.
we also have to share that to others.
Satria izay le tokana antom-pisian'ny ihany koa.
Because that's also the one and only reason they are alive as well.
Zany hoe misy fiantraikany be eo amin'ny fiainako sy eo amin'ny fiainanao ny fahalalanao an'Andriamanitra.
So your knowledge of God also has really something important. Is really something important in my life and in your life.
Le fahalalanao an'Andriamanitra misy fiantraikany be eo amin'ny fiainanao sy amin'ny fiainan'ny manodidinanao.
Your knowing God has an impact on your life, but also on others.
Dia mandritra amin'ny ladiny sesisika hijery karazana hoe toetra mety hoe mamaritra an'Andriamanitra.
So for a few Sundays then we are going to look at characters or behaviors that define God.
Dia loha hevitrisika androany miresaka momba hoe ny fiandrianana an'Andriamanitra.
So today we are going to look at God's Majesty.
Ny fiandrianana an'Andriamanitra.
God's Majesty.
Teo zao ny hira nisy tao anatin'ny hira nataontsika ny fiandrianana an'Andriamanitra.
So in one of the songs that we sang earlier, we sang about God's Majesty.
Fa fanontaniana mipetraka dia inona moa zany fiandrianana an'Andriamanitra?
So I'm going to start by asking what does God's Majesty mean?
Amin'ny teny gasy misy an'ilay teny hoe andriana, izay mety hoe tafiditra ao anatin'ilay teny hoe Andriamanitra ihany.
So in Malagasy there is a word called Andry, which might be included in the word Andriamanitra, which means God in Malagasy.
Tsy haiko nareo na efa nahita andriana Malagasy na misy taranaka andriana ihany koa.
I don't know if some of you have seen Andrina Malagasy. Andrina, some of you are descendants of Andrin, because Andrin means also noble or aristocrat in Malagasy.
Fa matetika ny andrinana ny olona miheviteny ho andrinana dia ohatrany hoe lehibe izy ao amin'ny fiarahamonina.
So, because often people who consider themselves to be Andrin noble, often they see themselves as important in the community.
Dia ohatr'izay ihany koa ohatrany hoe mendrika azy izy.
So sometimes they feel like they deserve to be respected for that.
Hany karaha ohatra ka hoe misy haja kely tsy atolotra ao anazy dia tena tafotoana maka izy.
And some of them, even if you do not give them the respect or the honor that they should receive, sometimes they can get upset.
Satria izy andriana.
Because they are nobles.
Dia ohatr'izay koa nefa ny Andriamanitra.
And that's the same with God.
Mba tsy lazako hoe mihoatra an'izay.
And it's even more important than that.
Satria Andriamanitra ilay andriana tokana.
Because God is the only Lord or noble.
Andriana ambony andriana.
He's the Lord over lords.
Dia ao anatin'ilay hoe fiandrianan'Andriamanitra zany hoe misy an'ilay lafiny hoe mampaha hoe lehibe anazy.
In his lordship and majesty, there's things that make him great or important.
Dia izay mahalehibe anazy izay mahatonga anazy hoe mendrika azy.
And it is his greatness that makes him worthy of honor and respect.
Dia izay ny antony hiderahantsika anazy androany satria ny fahalehibiazana iny raha ohatra hoe Andriamanitra tsy lehibe izy ohatrany hoe zava-taona fotsiny ny zavatra niraintsika teo.
And that's why we worship him, because if he was not a great God, then our praises would be worthless.
Dia ny zavatra tiako zaraina anazy androany misy ohatrany hoe fanamarinana anankitelo manamarika an'izay fahalehibiazan'Andriamanitra izay.
So the way I'm going to structure my sermon today, there is 3 aspects of God that I'm going to talk about.
Dia mino fa zavatra efa rehanao sy efa fantatrao ihany izy
I assume that it's things that you know or have heard of.
Dia ny voalohany dia hoe Andriamanitra mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izy.
So the first thing is God can do everything, knows how to do everything.
Dia ny faharoa dia hoe Andriamanitra manerana ny zavatra rehetra izy.
And second, God is all around, all around him.
Dia ny fahatelo dia hoe Andriamanitra mahay ny zavatra rehetra izy.
And the third thing is God knows everything.
Dia ireo zavatra telo ireo no ifampizarantsika androany.
So those 3 aspects are what we're going to share today.
hiditra amin'ilay voalohany tsika hoe mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izy.
So we're going to start with the first thing. So yeah, so that's the omnipotence of God. He knows He knows how to do everything.
Tsisy zavatra izay tsy hainy atao.
There is nothing that God does not know, that does not know how to do or create.
Dia raha namaky amin'ilay vakitentsika nareo
So if you read the readings this week,
dia hatramin'ny fiatombohan'ny ity taona ity,
or even from the start of the year,
dia nahatsikaritra n'izany hoe Andriamanitra mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izany.
you surely have noticed that God can do everything.
Any amin'ny Genesis voalohany ihany ohatra,
In the first chapter of Genesis,
inona ny zavatra nataony?
what did God do?
Nahary ny tany sy ny lanitra izy.
He created the earth, the heaven and the earth.
So hitantsika izao
Everything that we see,
izay zavatra rehetra afaka hita ao masitsika,
everything we can see,
dia izy ny nahary azy.
it's something that it's God who created it.
Nahary ny voninkazo, ny zava-maniry,
He created all the plants and the flowers,
zava-maniry mahagaga rehetrarehetra reny,
all the amazing flowers that you can see,
ny baobab, ny
the
ravinala.
baobabs, the ravnal.
Izy ny nahary azy.
He created all that.
Nahary ny zava-mananaina rehetra ihany koa izy.
He created everything that has life in it, every living thing.
Izy ny nahary ny maki,
He created the makis.
izy koa nahary ny fosa,
He created the fusa.
izy koa nahary ny alika rehetrarehetra,
He even created all the dogs,
dia ny alika nilay tsy tiatsika reny.
even the dogs that we don't like.
Izy ny nahary azy.
He created those.
Fa mihoatran'izany rehetrarehetra izany,
But even beyond all that,
nahary olombelona izy.
He created human beings.
Nahary anasy ianao izy.
He created you and me.
Nahary anahy ianao io tsisy ohatranao.
He created you so that you are unique from all the human beings.
Tsisy olona manakambana moato fa nakambana ary mbola samy hafa ihany.
I don't think that there's any people who are twins here, but even twins, despite the fact that there are two people who are almost the same, each one of those is unique.
Ilay olona tsy tianao iny mihitsy dia verinao fa tena manahirana sy ratsy iny, izy ny nahary an'iny.
Even the people you don't like, the people who you think is evil, God Himself created those people.
Dia hoy izy hoe tsara izany.
And when He created those people, He said it is good.
Dia ao anatin'izay ilay fahaizan'Andriamanitra manao ny zavatra rehetra.
And within all that is really the fact that God knows how to do anything. He's omnipotent.
Raha jerentsika ihany koa anatin'ny natao anatin'ny boky Genesis iny fotsiny ary,
So even if you just look at the book of Genesis,
dia mahay manao fahagagana izy.
you can see He can do miracles, amazing things.
Mahay mampisy ny zavatra tsy misy izy ary mahay tsy mampisy ny zavatra efa misy ihany koa.
He can create things that do not exist, and He can cancel things that already exist.
Ny zavatra tsy takatra ny saintsika vitany.
Things that we cannot imagine or fathom, He can do those.
Ohatr'izany zao misy tantarana mpivady anankiray tao amin'ny Baiboly any.
So in the Bible, for example, there's the story of a couple, a married couple.
Tantaran'i Abrahama Sara.
So there's the story of Sarah.
Olo efa somary lehibe efa tsy amin'ny fotoanany tokony hiterahana intsony.
They were fairly old. They already reached ages of people who cannot conceive a child.
Fa rehefa Andriamanitra niteny hoe omeko taranaka ianao.
But when God said, I will give you descendants.
Dia na dia efa teo ary izay tsy fahafahana miteraka izay dia mbola teraka ihany izy, teraka zazalahy.
Even if when they could not conceive children already biologically, they still got a child, a son.
Raha fitinana zany dia ao ny herin'Andriamanitra ao tafiditra ao anatin'ilay hoe izy mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izay.
So to sum up then, in this idea of God's omnipotence, first there is His power,
Ao ihany koa ny fahefana,
His authority.
afaka manao ny zavatra rehetra.
He has authority to do anything.
Raha ampitaina amintsika olombelona zany dia mety misy itoviny fa mety misy fahasamihafana ngeza be.
So if you compare that to us human beings, there might be some similarities, but there's really big differences as well.
Za zao tamin'ny maraina nankaty am-piangonana teo a,
when I came to church, for example, this morning,
raha tokony izy tokony mitondra moto mankaty am-piangonana.
usually when I come here, I come on a scooter.
Fa tsy haiko izay nanjora an'ilay moto fa tsy velona tamika izy vao maraina.
But I don't know what happened, but because I couldn't start the scooter this morning.
Dia ny zahako ny jerijerena inona raha tsy mampandeha aty.
Yeah, and I tried to figure out what happened, why it couldn't start.
Fa adiny iray teo tena tsy hitako mihitsy hoe ahoana.
But for 1 hour, I couldn't solve the problem.
Dia zaho manamarika tena voafetra tsy zaho voafetra.
And I can see that we are limited beings. I am limited.
Zavatra mety tsotra kely izy fa zaho mihitsy tsy mahay.
Might be something that it's a simple issue, a simple problem, but I don't know how to solve it, to fix it.
Dia be dia be koa ny zavatra mety eritreretintsika hoe atao sy vita nefa kanefa voafetra ihantsika amin'ny magnodela tsika.
And there's a lot of things that we think we can do, problems that we can fix or solve, but we are limited as human beings.
Fa Andriamanitra tsy voafetra.
But God is limitless, He's not limited in the things He does.
Tsy voafetra ny fahafahany manao.
His power to do things is limitless.
Dia tsy voafetra koa ny fahefany manao azy.
His authority to do things has no limit as well.
Dia raha raisitsika fotsiny aloha izay toetra n'Andriamanitra voalohany izay hoe Andriamanitra mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izy.
So if we only think about his first character, which is the fact that he can do everything, he's omnipotent.
Dia andeha fisaina-tsaina hoe izay ilay Andriamanitra ao.
And have in mind that is your God.
Inona tokony fiantraikan'izay ao amin'ny fiainanao?
What then should be, what does that understanding of that, what impact should that have on our lives?
Ny anahy zavatra anisan'ny tena mahagaga anahy amin'Andriamanitra.
One of the things that amazes me about God,
dia misy zavatra eritreretinao tena zavatra tena ratsy ary mitranga amin'ny fiainanao.
it's the fact that even if there's something really bad that happens in your life,
Dia izy manana hery sy fahefana foana ao ambadika iny zavatra.
He always has power and authority beyond that thing that happens in your life.
Misy tantara anankiray miverimberana izy eo amin'ny Genesis ao ihany.
There's a story that's recurrent in the book of Genesis.
Dia ilay tantaran'ny Abrahama ihany dia avy eo tantaran'ny Isaka raha tsy diso aho.
So it's the story of Abraham and the story of Isaac.
Rehefa nandeha tamin'ny firenenen-kafa izy dia hoy izy hoe ty vady tsy nataony hoe vadiny ilay vadiny.
When Abraham went to a foreign land, he didn't tell people that his wife was his wife.
Fa hoy izy hoe anabaviko io.
He said it's his sister.
Dia tsika tsy manao izany. Tsy manao izany.
We shouldn't do that.
Fa raha tsy diso tamin'ny tantaran'ny Isaka ve izy ko.
But I don't know as well if it was the story of Isaac or Jacob.
Fa tamina fotoana anankiray tratran'ilay mpanjaka hoe kay tsy vadiny, kay tsy anabaviny tirana matily izy fa vadiny.
But in the story, the god of the land where he went figured out that the woman he was with was not his sister but his wife.
Dia tezitra be izy tao anatin'izay.
And he was really angry.
Fa nefa ny tao ambadika izay izy ohatran'ny saika an'ilay are ihany hoe soa ihany izy fa natandry tena.
But in that, while he was angry, he was kind of boasting about the fact that, deep down about the fact that he could control himself.
Dia eo Andriamanitra manitsy anazy hoe izany niara-nao tamin'ny tsy jangajanga tamin'ny vehivavy.
And in that moment, it was actually God saying that it is because of me that you didn't commit adultery with that woman.
Dia izany dia midika hoe na ny zavatra ataontsika ary mbola izy ihany manome fahafahana antsika manao anazy.
So even it shows that even in the things that we think we do out of our own volition, it's God who gives the authority to do that thing.
Na misy zavatra tsara be vita aminao ary.
Even if there's a really nice thing that you created or you did something really nice.
Matetika ianao ny fotoana iny alaim-panahy mety irehare tampoka.
Sometimes you kind of are proud because of the thing you did.
Dia nefa ny tsara foana mahatsiaro anatin'ireny Andriamanitra
But it's always good to remind yourself that in those moments it's because of God, it's God that did those things. Because everything is under God's authority and power and majesty. So the impact of that thing in our lives, there's a lot of things that you can learn from this, and I hope that I really encourage you to meditate on this. But the main thing I want you to remember is that God is every authority or every power is in God's hands. So that thing should teach us to be humble. We have to be humble and acknowledge that it's God who does everything and God knows to do everything. To sum up that teaching on the first aspect of God's behavior, He knows how to do everything. He's omnipotent. So He's a great God because He can do anything, everything. But God's greatness doesn't end in this aspect. The other aspect is the fact that God knows everything. So what's behind this idea of what does it mean that He knows everything? So what does it mean? One of the things it implies is there's nothing that He does not know. I don't know who you think. Who do you think the most intelligent person is? You think it's Ratimama? Einstein. Or maybe Albert Einstein. When we say God knows everything, He knows and He knows more than all those people. There's every aspect in our lives, every aspect in this world. There's nothing He doesn't know about those things. In one way, the fact that He knows everything, nothing is hidden from Him. Maybe as a human being, you might be thinking, oh, that person is like this thing, this object is like that. But God knows everything about each person, every things that are hidden deep inside that person. You as a human being, when you come across a person who's a liar, sometimes you might be scammed or swindled. Because there are people who know how to lie. But with God, lies do not work. There's nothing hidden from God. Hypocrisy doesn't work with God. You cannot cheat or lie to Him. So if we go back to the Bible and to the idea that God knows everything, He knew when Adam and Eve sinned. He knew when Cain killed his brother Abel.
ny Abraham sy Sara hoe zanaka zareo.
And this is a funny story because when he revealed to Abraham and Sarah that they have a child,
dia ohatran'ny mekely tany anatin'ny tany Sara hoe zany io possible.
and Sarah loved a bit deep inside,
Dia nefa fantatra Andriamanitra ilay izy.
but God knew that.
Fantany tao am-pony Sara.
He knew what was in Sarah's heart at that time.
Tsisy
In her
miafina
mind. Nothing was hidden from him.
dia ohatr'izay koa tsika sy ianao Andriamanitra.
So it's just like that for you and me today.
Fantany ny ao am-ponao,
He knows everything that's in your heart and in your mind.
fantany ny ao am-poko.
He knows what's in my heart.
Tsisy zavatra miafina aminy.
There's nothing hidden from him.
Misy salamon'ny Davida izay tena mamaritra tsara an'izay ao amin'ny salamo 6:30.
There's a song by David, I think it's Psalm 139, that really kind of encapsulates all that.
Dia ho vakiako fotsiny andiny faharoa ambin'ny folo sy fahatelo ambin'ny folo aza antsika sary an-tsaina izay.
I'll read the verse 12 and 13 so that we can understand that.
Fa ny maizina aza tsy mahaizina aminao, fa ny alina dia mazava toy ny andro ihany, ka sahala ny mazava ny maizina. Fa ianao nahary ny voa namola vonay tao an-kibon-dreny.
Even the darkness is not dark to you, the night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb.
Dia hotoizako hatramin'ny andiny fahaenina ambin'ny folo.
And I carry on until up to verse 16.
Idiranao fa matahotra sy mahatalanjona nanaovanay, mahagaga ny asanao ary fantatry ny fanahiko maromaro izany. Ny tenako tsy niafina taminao, fony natao tao miafinao ka noforonina hisy endrika tany ambany tany. Ny masonao efa nahita na dia fony tsy mbola ary fady azo aho. Voasoratra teo amin'ny bokinao avokoa ny andro voatendry, fony tsy mbola nisy na dia akory azy.
I praise you for I am fearful and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance, your book were written, every one of them. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. So that's our God, that's who our God is. He can do everything, and He knows everything. So what impact should that have in our lives? Your belief and your belief that He's a God who can do everything and knows everything. And I don't know if you know the story of, I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if it's the story of the ostrich or the giraffe. So one of those animals, when there's something dangerous happens to them, it is said that they hide their head in the ground. And for them it's as if nothing happened to them. But I don't know if it happens to you, but often as human beings, we always often forget that God can do everything and knows everything. Sometimes we think that because we don't see God, then we feel like it won't have any impact in our lives.
dia zavatra rehetrarehetra ohatry hoe zahantsika takonana amin'ny olombelona reny a.
Everything we kind of hide from other people.
Dia zavatra rehetrarehetra any anaty ordinateuratsika any a.
Everything that we hide in our computers.
Ny zavatra rehetrarehetra anaty historikatsika any a.
Everything in your browser's history.
Zavatra rehetrarehetra any anaty message privé-atsika sy ny sisa.
Everything that you hide in your private message or in your DMs.
Fantatr'Andriamanitra daholo.
God knows all of those.
Tsisy zavatra miafina aminy zany na pitsony kely.
Nothing is hidden from God, even the most smallest thing.
Dia mety be dia be ihany koa ny zavatra afaka tsoahanao manokana ny amin'izay ary tena mampirisika an'izay foana koa.
So there's a lot of things you can learn from that thing, and I encourage you to do that.
Tena saintsainy hoe inona tokoa ny fiantraikan'izany zavatra zany eo amin'ny fiainana.
You should meditate on really what that means in your life.
Raha eso amin'ny nafipiainanao misy zavatra mety ataonao dia tena saintsainy amin'ity zavatra ataoko ity a tena mino tokoa hoe Andriamanitra mahay zavatra rehetra sy mahafantatra ny zavatra rehetra izy.
Even the smallest things you do, you might think you have to remind yourself that I'm doing this thing, and does it mean that in the thing I'm doing, do I really believe that God knows and can do anything?
Fa misy zavatra anankiray afaka tsoahako ny ao anatin'izay.
One thing for myself that I can learn from that.
Dia tokony mitondra tahotra anatintsika aloha zay voalohany indrindra.
First and foremost, the knowledge that God can do anything and knows everything should create in me fear and fear.
Tahotra tokony hiteraka fanajana.
Fear that should spark respect for God.
Dia ny anankiray koa nefa mety hoe tokony hiteraka indray manko maha-olombelona misy fotoana ianao mety ohatrany tsy hitany ihany mihitsy ilay zavatra ataoko aminazy.
And sometimes as well, as human beings, we can be upset. We try to do something for another person, and that person doesn't acknowledge or sometimes even doesn't see the effort that we've put in it.
Misy zavatra mety ataonao amin'ny hafa dia ohatrany tsy hitan'ilay olona mihitsy ilay zavatra ataoko.
There's something good that you might be doing for someone else and they haven't even seen what you've done.
Dia tokony amin'ny fatokinanao koa ity toetran'Andriamanitra anankiray ity.
And the fact that God knows everything should also give you trust.
Hoe izy mahita.
Should remind you that maybe the other people haven't seen it, but God has seen the good thing that you've done.
Dia izay ny teboka anankiroa voalohany dia hitrany teboka anankiray farany.
So those are the two first points. So we'll go through the third point.
Fa raha fitinina fotsiny ireo anankiroa ireo dia hoe Andriamanitra lehibe lavitra izy.
So, but just to sum up those two first points, it's that God is really a God that's great beyond all measures.
Tsy lehibe fotsiny izy fa tena lehibe lavitra.
He's not only great, but he's really, really super great beyond all measures.
Ny teboka fahatelo dia ny hoe Andriamanitra manerana an'izao rehetra izao izy.
And the third point is the fact that God is around everything. It's that God is omnipresent.
Manerana ny zavatra rehetra izy, naiza naiza izy.
He's present and he surrounds everything. He's everywhere.
Eto Madagasikara, eo izy.
He's in Madagascar.
Any France, any izy.
In France, he's there.
Any Amerika, any izy.
He's in America.
Any amin'ny toerana tsy hita masitsika, any koa izy.
He's even present in places that we haven't seen.
Ao an-tranontsika ao koa izy.
He's also present in our houses.
Tsy ohatratsika voafetra.
So we are limited.
Fa izy voafetra.
He's unlimited.
Zafa misy fotoana ohatry hoe mety misy zavatra tianao atao be dia be fa voafetra ny tenanao ianao eto ihany ny afaka misy anao.
So there's days when you want to do a lot of things, but the things you can do is limited because you can only be in one place at one time.
Fa Andriamanitra tena hoe manerana an'izao rehetra izao izy.
But God surrounds everything and is present everywhere.
Dia Ny zavatra tena matsikaiky ao anatin'izay, ny zavatra tena hoe indraindray izy tsy takatry ny saina.
So the funny thing about that, sometimes it's something you don't even can fully fathom or grasp.
Fa hoe misy fotoana Andriamanitra manao zavatra eto amin'ity toerana ity, fa nefa sady manao zavatra koa izy amin'ny toerana hafa.
It's the fact that sometimes he can be doing something here in this place, but he's also doing other things in other places.
Ary misy zavatra tena mahagaga hoe misy fotoana misy zavatra anankiray ihany ny ataony fa samy hafa mipetraikany amin'ny amina toerana samy hafa na olona samy hafa.
So one thing that amazes me as well is he might be doing one thing, but that thing will have various impacts on various people in various places.
Raha jerentsika zao tantaran'ny Petera amin'ny asan'ny apôstôly.
So if you, for example, if you look at the story of Peter in the book of Acts,
resaka tamin'ny Petera tamin'ny tsindrimandry izy.
He spoke to Peter in his dreams.
Dia nefa avy eo ihany koa izy miresaka tary amin'ny Cornelius tary.
But then at the same time he also spoke to Cornelius in another place.
Dia Petera nefa mbola taty amin'ny toerana anankiray, Andriamanitra efa taty amin'ny toerana anankiray.
So Peter was in one place, God was speaking to him, but God was also in another place speaking to someone else.
Dia avy eo niony izy roa lahy.
And the two people, Peter and Cornelius, met.
Dia mitovy ilay zavatra voaray amin'izy roa lahy.
And the things that they learned, or the things that the information that they got was the same.
Dia tena ohatr'izay mihitsy Andriamanitra hoe naiza izy tsy voafetra izy.
So that's really, God is omnipresent, is everywhere, is not limited by space.
Ohatrany ahoana indray ny fiantraikany tokony fiantraikan'izay ao ny fiainanao.
So what impact should that have in your life then?
Ny zavatra anankiray tena zavatra miainako sady tena ohatrany hoe mampahery ny foko.
The thing that I've lived, the thing that really encourages me in this knowing, in understanding that.
Za zao manana anabavy mipetraka any andafy.
Me, for example, I have a sister who lives overseas.
Dia misy fotoana zareo nandalo fotoana mafy be tamin'ny farantaona iny.
And at the end of the year, last year, they went through a really difficult time.
Dia mahavoafetra anao voafetra ianao ara-bola, voafetra ianao ara-batana.
So because you're limited in terms of finances, you're limited in terms of what you can do,
Dia tsy afaka mba nakany amin'ny zareo tany ianao.
You cannot. I couldn't go like over there.
Fa ny tena nampahery ao anatin'izay hoe Andriamanitra anako.
But really, what encouraged me in that situation, that God was present in that place as well, where my sister was.
Hoe Andriamanitra afaka mikasika anazy sy mampahery anazy koa.
God can touch her and encourage her in those times.
Satria Andriamanitra tsy eto akaiky ihany.
Because God is not only by my side, He's also everywhere.
Dia ohatr'izay koa ianao.
And it's also the same with you.
Mety ny sasany amintsika mety amina fotoana anankiray mety hoe tsy haiko mety hoe irahana andeha lavitra any amin'ny toerana tsisy olona.
Sometimes it's the same situation for you. Maybe God can send you in a further place, maybe in places where there's not even another person.
Mety tsisy olona fantatrao mihitsy
not in a place where you don't know anyone.
Mety hoe missionnaire ianao na tsy fantatro.
Maybe He sends you as a missionary somewhere.
Fa tsara ovy ao anatin'ireny hoe Andriamanitra eo foana.
But have in mind and remember that God is always present with you.
Dia izay zavatra izay mbola miverina amin'ilay teboka faharoa teo ihany tokony mitondra tahotra sy fahatokiana koa nefa izay ao anatinao.
So once again, it's even with it's the same lesson that you can learn from the second point is it should create fear and respect in yourself.
Tokony mitondra fahatokiana sy fahazava-mantoka hoe Andriamanitra eto amin'ny lampofoana inona mety zavatra lalaovanao amin'ny fiainana.
It should create in you the feeling of trust that God is always present with you, whatever you go through in life.
Dia tena afaka manangataka amin'ny fikasiana mihitsy ianao Andriamanitra tena mampahereza tovitsapaka Andriamanitra hoe tsy mandao anahy ianao fa mahatoky.
And you can even ask God that He gives you encouragement and He gives you and that God gives you the understanding that we can trust Him in these times and that He's not leaving our side.
Dia Davida koa tena natsapa an'izay teo amin'ny fiainany.
And David also felt that in his life.
Hoe naiza hoy izy aleako dia eo ianao.
That he said, wherever I go, you are always with me.
Tsisy tsy fantany, tsisy toerana izay tsy misy ny fanatrian'Andriamanitra.
There's no place where God's presence is not there.
Rehefa tambatra ilay toetra anankitelo,
if we put together all these three behaviors,
mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izy,
He's omnipotent, He knows He can do everything.
Mahay ny zavatra rehetra izy,
He's omniscient, He knows everything.
Manerana ny zavatra
He's
rehetra.
omnipresent, He's all over, He's everywhere.
Dia ny amin'ntinana azy dia Andriamanitra tsy lavitra be izy fa lehibe lavitra. Andriamanitra tsy lavitra be izy fa lehibe lavitra.
So we can sum up that He's not a God that's far, but He's far greater than you can ever imagine.
Tsy hoe Andriamanitra nahary an'izao tontolo izao fotsiny izy dia misitaka tany dia tsy mirara an'izao tontolo.
He's not just a God that just created things and then he went away from us.
Andriamanitra tsy lavitra be izy fa lehibe lavitra.
He's a God that is not far, but is far greater than we think.
Dia ireo zavatra anankiroa ireo mila lanjanaintsika tsara hoe Andriamanitra mahay manao ny zavatra rehetra izy a. Andriamanitra tsy takatra ny saina izy fa nefa ny Andriamanitra manatrika koa izy manome fanatriana.
So we have to kind of find the balance about those things, that He's a God who
mahafantatra ny zavatra rehetra.
He's a God who knows everything.
Mahay ny zavatra rehetra izy.
He can do everything, He knows everything.
Fa izy ihany koa Andriamanitra manome fanatriana.
But He's also a God who's present everywhere.
Dia mikasika antsika manokana amin'izay fantaniana tiako apetraka antsika hoe aminao ve aminao manokana ve lehibe Andriamanitra?
So I have a personal question, and my question is, to you personally, is God great to you?
Misy an'ireo lafiny roa ireo ve eo amin'ny fiainanao hoe tena manaiky ianao fa Andriamanitra lehibe lavitra izy fa nefa ny Andriamanitra manatrika anao koa izy.
So is it something that's really present in your life, the fact that He's a God that's really great, but really, really great and great beyond all measures, but also a God that's present in our lives?
Dia tiako misy sary kely tiako ohatra hoe hanampiana antsika ao anatin'izay.
So there's this little illustration that I'd like to
Tsy haiko nareo
pass you with.
na nisy tao nefa nahita an'ilay dessin animé na filmany Aladdin.
I don't know if you've seen the movie or the animated movie Aladdin.
Dia amin'ny filmany Aladdin misy ohatrany fitoeran-jiro kely iny.
So in Aladdin there is the genie in the bottle.
Dia rehefa kasikasihana iny dia misy ohatrany mitanga mangamanga be kotra.
So when you wrap the bottle, there's a genie that comes out of the bottle.
Dia iny ranga mangamanga be iny mahay manao ny zavatra rehetrarehetra.
So that brown character, he can do everything, and that blue character, he can do everything.
Afaka avadiny bokosy lasa mpanjaka be Aladdin.
He could turn Aladdin into a really good-looking king.
Afaka navadiny elefanta be le ragidro kely.
He could turn the monkey into an elephant.
Tsisy zavatra izay tsy hainy natao.
There's nothing that he couldn't do.
Fa ny teboka voalohany dia voafetra tao anatin'ny fitoeran-jiro kely iny izy.
But the main issue is that he was restricted, limited into that lamp.
Dia raha tadidinareo any tanany misy ohatran'ny bracelet kely anankiroa izay.
And I don't know if you remember, but his hands had kind of some chains or bracelets.
Dia amin'ny lafiny iray zany eo ambany fahefan'ny Aladdin izy tamin'izay.
So in that situation, in one way we can say that he was under Aladdin's authority.
Dia rehefa miverina ao anatin'ny fitoeran-jiro kely iny izy.
And when he came back into the lamp,
dia tapitra amin'ny fahefana rehetra.
All his power and authority just evaporated.
Dia etsy Aladdin miezaka ohatry hoe rehefa mila fanampiana izy dia aloka asihana kely indray dia mivoaka.
So what Aladdin did is, whenever he needed his help, then he'd rub the lamp, and then so that the genie could come out of the lamp. But what I wanted to share is that God is not a genie. And another thing as well is we human beings do not have authority on God. We're not the ones who are bossing God around and tell him to do what we want him to do. If we give orders to God or command him to do things, then he's not God anymore. Sometimes you can grasp and fathom that thing. But sometimes, if we really look clearly, sometimes we are Aladdin. We are to God what Aladdin was to the genie. We only call on to him when we need him. It's only in difficult times that you call God. Oh God, where are you? I'm lost now. And sometimes it's when there's not something good that happens to your life, then you remember God and you thank him for the thing that happened to you. Or even if there is, sometimes there might be a project that you want to achieve to do. And it's only then that you remember the verse from the book of Proverbs that says, trust God for everything you do, and your projects will succeed. So my question is personally for you, who is God in your life? Who is your God? So just in order for you to answer that question, you have to really think, is he really the reason you're alive? Does God exist for me, or do I exist for God? In my life, what do I want to see succeed? Do I want to see my projects and all my plans to succeed? Or do I want to see God's will to prevail? Is it God that I give the highest honor in my life? So I give all the glory really to God? But the truth is, we sometimes do something contradictory. Often we give ourselves the glory and the respect and the honor. We often choose our lives and we say, my life should be like this and like that. Myself, me. And that's really what happened in Genesis chapter 3. God said, look at all those trees, you can eat from all those trees. But there's one tree you cannot touch and eat from. And it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But on the day you eat from that tree, you will die. And what did Adam and Eve choose? They say, oh no, we do whatever we want to do. This is what God wants and this is what I want, but I want to do what I want to do. So it's that thing that really started a separation, what is it? A chasm between God and human beings.
Dia eo zany ohatra mipetraka ilay hoe lasa Andriamanitra lavitra izy.
And that's when you kind of have the idea that God is far from you.
Lasa Andriamanitra lavitra ilay Andriamanitra lehibe lavitra.
We feel that the God that's far greater ends up being a God that is far.
Fa ny vaovao mahafaty
But the good news is
dia tsy najany tamin'izay ilay toerana.
his position, he didn't stay, he changed the situation so that he didn't stay in that situation.
Tsy navelany lavitra isika.
He didn't want us to stay far,
Fa nidina tetỳ an-tany izy tamin'ny alalan'i Jesosy Kristy.
but he came to earth through Jesus Christ.
Niaina fiainan'olombelona izy.
He lived the life of human beings.
Voafetra taminao anaty vatana anankiray Jesosy.
He was restricted and limited within the body of a human being.
Ilay Andriamanitra tsy voafetra, tsy manam-petra, no indro lasa tonga tahaka ny olombelona.
The God without limit, who is limitless, came to become like a human being, to be a human being.
Dia nizaka ny fahotantsika izy teo amin'ny hazo fijaliana.
And he carried our sins on the cross.
Ilay hevitra nampisaraka antsika taminazy no ravainy.
The room that separated him from us, he broke that room.
Dia tonga tetỳ an-tany izy vonoina maty eo amin'ny hazo fijaliana.
He came to earth to be killed on the cross.
Dia zay lalan'i Jesosy Kristy izay maneho antsika hoe tao anatin'izay izy tena hoe manantona sy manasa antsika hoe avy.
So God's journey, God's path through Jesus Christ really shows to us that He wants us to also approach Him, come closer to Him.
Ty zaho.
Come, I am here.
Manasa antsika amina fifandraisana manokana aminazy.
He invites us to really have a special relation, a personal relation with Him.
Dia zay ilay lala tokana ahafahantsika mahafantatra azy bebe kokoa.
That's the only way to really know Him better.
Tsisy lalana ankoatran'i Jesosy Kristy ary izy no manazava an'izany hoe izao ny lalana sy fahamarinana ary fiainana.
There's no way apart from Jesus Christ, and as Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Izy ny lalana tokana ahafahantsika mahafantatra n'Andriamanitra.
He's the only way, He's the unique way, and the one and only way so that for us to know God.
Raha mino azy tsika,
If we believe in Him,
dia manana an'izay fahafahana izay hoe mahafantatra n'Andriamanitra dia izay ilay fiainana mandrakizay.
we have the possibility to really know God, and the power and possibility to really know God, and that's eternal life.
Araka ny efa nizarain'i Timothée tamin'ny herinandro.
Just as Timothy shared last week.
Dia ny hamaranako azy
And in closing,
tsaroa foana ilay teny teo hoe Andriamanitra lehibe lavitra izy fa tsy lavitra be.
remember always the word that I said earlier. He's a God that's far greater, but He's not a God that's far.
Dia tena mahagaga izany hoe Andriamanitra tsy toa manasanasy ianao hanana fifandraisana aminazy.
So it's really strange that He's the great God, the powerful God who invites you and me to know Him.
Dia ndao tena atao laharam-pahamehana izany hoe mandany fotoana miaraka amin'Andriamanitra izany mamaky ny teny, mivavaka, mankaty am-piangonana.
So let's make a priority really to really spend time with God, read His Word, pray, come to church.
Dia anatin'izay ty fiara-pifarakasika.
So I'd like all of us to pray then.
Andriamanitra arainay io
God the Father,
na izany fahafahana miantso anao iray izany fotsiny araka efa fagaka.
even our ability to call you Father is really a miracle.
Tena te hisaotra aminao zany amin'izany Andriamanitra.
I really want to thank you for that.
Te hisaotra aminao zany amin'ny antsonao anay ho zanakao.
We thank you for calling us your children.
Izay izay tsy mendrika akory.
We are us who are not even worthy,
Kanefa mbola nisafidinao ary mbola nantsonao eo aminao.
yet you chose us and you chose us to come closer to you,
Dia natsangana ho zanakao izay ankehitriny.
and you raised us as your children. You chose us as your children. Help us to really understand and grasp the work of salvation that you did on the cross. That really the essence of the salvation is not the fact that we are saved. Not only help us understand that we are not saved just to be saved, but really to really know you as well. May that really be the reason we exist and we're alive. We pray, Lord God, that you touch us in every aspect of our lives that do not align with really knowing you. Because you know all of us, the things we show to the people, to people around us, and the things that we hide deep in our minds and in our hearts. You're the God who knows everything, who can do anything, and is everywhere. And yet you're a God who are good and close to us. A God we can come to on difficult times, when we go face difficult times. So in this week, Lord Jesus, I pray really that I pray that you help us really understand and fully grasp those things. We thank you for the work of salvation that you've done for us. To you only be the glory. Amen. Amen.